Pep Guardiola has already made next Kalvin Phillips move clear with Manchester City comment. Kalvin Phillips has been involved with the Manchester City first team this season, but his future still lies away from the Etihad. Pep Guardiola was discussing his options in the holding midfield role on Friday when he explained how they had shrunk in recent weeks. This is a small thing, but we don't have Kova now for the next time as well. So we have 3 holding midfielders proper and just 1 fit, he said. Guardiola was confirming Mateo Kovacic had joined Rodri on the sidelines, with Nico Gonzalez now the only player fit and available to play that position at the base of midfield. When City trained soon after, Kalvin Phillips might have been trying to get his manager's attention. The 29-year-old is fit and available and in the Premier League squad. His inclusion in the list submitted to the Premier League came as a surprise, given that his squad number had been stripped away in the summer. Had he not been injured throughout the window, he would have left the club. In September, he was even back on the pitch, playing the final 7 minutes in the Carabao Cup win at Huddersfield. But that hasn't been the start of a renaissance. He was an unused substitute in the next round at Swansea, and despite being in the list of players available in the top flight, he hasn't made a matchday squad all season. That is understandable in many ways. His time at the club has been disappointing, and of his 32 City appearances, only 2 have been starts in the Premier League. Rodri, Gonzalez and Kovacic are all better options in that position. There is also more depth in the squad now. Even without Phillips, Guardiola had Tijani Reinders as a deeper midfield option on the bench at the weekend, and John Stones can also play there. But Guardiola's failure to even mention Phillips and the decision to leave him on the bench at Swansea indicate it is a matter of time until he leaves the club, and that will come sooner rather than later. He is a player for the team, the squad. He is coming back, he trains with us, we treat him like another player. The decision of whether he plays or not belongs to me, Guardiola said ahead of that trip to South Wales. He is always an unbelievable guy. It is a joy to have him in the locker room. Phillips now trains regularly with the City squad and even participates in sessions ahead of Champions League fixtures, despite not being included in the club's European squad. However, it seems clear that there is no way back for him in terms of securing regular football. When the January window opens, finding a buyer for Phillips will again be top of City's agenda. Pep Guardiola could leave Manchester City as early as next summer, amid logical argument. Pep Guardiola signed a new 2-year contract at Manchester City last year, but it has been claimed that he could be set to leave the Etihad Stadium as early as next summer. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola could walk away from the club as early as next summer, despite putting pen to paper on a contract running until 2027 last year, according to reports. The Spaniard has enjoyed remarkable success since arriving at the Etihad Stadium in 2016. He has secured 6 Premier League titles, the Champions League, 2 FA Cups, and numerous other honours since taking over from Argentine manager Manuel Pellegrini. Guardiola is still under contract, having signed a 2-year extension to his existing deal just 12 months ago. Nevertheless, it has now been suggested that the former Barcelona and Bayern Munich boss could leave before then. According to The Times, those close to Guardiola think he could bid farewell next summer, a decade after his arrival, which is viewed as a logical move in his managerial career. A final decision has not yet been taken, though, the report adds. Guardiola has typically fulfilled contracts with his previous clubs, and that scenario is not ruled out this time, while the same sources anticipating his departure have done so previously only to see the Spanish manager reverse course and commit to new terms. Guardiola himself has already spoken publicly and indicated that he has decided on a sabbatical once he departs City, whenever that may be. He said, "I know that after this stage with City, I'm going to stop, that's for sure. It's decided, more than decided. I don't know how long I'll stop for, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10, 15, I don't know. But I will leave after this spell with City because I need to stop and focus on myself, on my body." Explaining his remarks in a subsequent interview with Sky Sports, Guardiola added, No. I didn't say I'm leaving now or at the end of the season. Well, if they sack me, yes. But I'm saying when I finish my time here, I don't know, in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, I don't know. I will take a break. I won't retire, but I will take a break, for sure. Guardiola may well expand his trophy collection further, before departing the Etihad. City are among the title contenders once more this campaign. They're currently 4 points adrift of table toppers Arsenal, having thrashed defending champions Liverpool 3-0 in their latest fixture. They'll be looking to maintain their title charge following the international break, with Newcastle United their next opponents. What Erling Haaland has done this season to offer Manchester City another weapon, Manchester City striker. Erling Haaland has seen a significant improvement in a specific part of his game. As good as Erling Haaland is, plenty of Manchester City fans were not confident when he stepped up to the spot against Liverpool. Part of that is the masses of evidence that every single City player is going to miss their penalty, but there is also history of Haaland not being confident. He even gave up the chance to take one in the FA Cup final. That, he said afterwards, was a mistake, and he took responsibility a week later at Fulham. But he has not had the chance to get back on the horse since, with City entering the Liverpool game as the only team not to be awarded a penalty. When they were, he fluffed his lines. It didn't matter though, because shortly afterwards, he leapt like a Norwegian salmon and steered a header in for the opening goal. There was luck involved, but Haaland was rewarded for doing everything right that was in his control. Heading has rarely been a Haaland strength, with even Pep Guardiola feeling himself qualified to try and teach the number 9 a thing or two after he had missed a presentable chance at Old Trafford a few seasons ago. For someone as tall as he is and as clinical with his feet, heading has always been one of the weakest parts of that game. That may be changing though. His headed goal against Liverpool followed successful efforts against Napoli, Monaco and Everton, to mean that Haaland has already scored as many headers this season as he did last year or the year before. His 2022/23 high of 8 is well within sight. It isn't just in front of goal where Haaland is making a difference with his head. He has always been towards the top end of the City squad for involvement in aerial duels, yet now he is out on his own. More significantly, he is winning more of them. In 2022/23, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2023/24, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2024/25, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2025/26, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2026/27, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2027/28, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2028/29, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2029/30, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2030/31, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2031/32, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2032/33, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2033/34, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2034/35, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2035/36, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2036/37, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2037/38, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2038/39, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2039/40, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2040/41, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2041/42, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2042/43, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2043/44, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2044/45, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2045/46, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2046/47, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2047/48, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2048/49, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2049/50, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2050/51, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2051/52, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2052/53, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2053/54, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2054/55, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2055/56, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2056/57, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2057/58, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2058/59, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2059/60, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2060/61, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2061/62, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2062/63, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2063/64, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2064/65, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2065/66, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2066/67, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2067/68, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2068/69, he won 50% of his 100 duels. In 2069/70,